everybody, and welcome back to Time of the Whovians United. Today, we're going to bring back a series we started at the start of this year with Series 12. It is the Did It Fails. We had the idea of going through all the episodes that people really hate, like the ones that are really controversial or widely known to be hated by a majority of the fans, and rewatch them and see for ourselves, do we think it is as bad as their reputation suggests? So today, we're going to be doing Closing Time. Closing Time is an episode that most people don't like, and I think it's because of the Cybermen and stuff like that, but you know what? We're going to go into it today and see if we think it is as bad as people say it is. So today you are joined by me, Corey, George, and Farron. Let's get into this, eh? We're going to do this in the same similar format as we did originally. So the first thing we're going to do is go through initial thoughts after watching the episode. Go on, George.
My initial thoughts was it's hated because of the Cybermen cop-out ending. Though I feel like the story is more focused on Craig and a story about coming to terms as being a fatherhood. Obviously, you have to have something sci-fi, alienate, because it's a Doctor Who episode. If it was just Craig becoming a parent, it's just going to be a bit boring. Though the setup was absolutely phenomenal. It has a lot of horror tropes. The lights turning off, flicking off, the lighting, the sound / music with so you hear the first literally shot, you hear electric sounds in the streetlights. And the music's also building and feels quite eerie, and I love that. And obviously, when George gets knocked out, see the Cybermen in the back, in the shadows. I love that. I think all the setup was brilliant, though I feel like this whole episode, it's kind of like it's jumping with two genres, humour, comedy, and horror. I just don't feel like that suits quite well. But, it's a bit of fluff, it's a filler episode. But I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
All right, and so, Farron, how do you feel? Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I do think that this episode does feel very much like filler. That's very evident. Like, they were just like, oh, we've got one more episode to do before the finale. Screw it, Cyberman story. I actually still quite enjoy it. This has always been a story that I've never really understood the hate behind. I mean, yeah, it's a bit clunky in its storytelling technique and everything. I don't think it has this kind of like B-movie atmosphere with the horror stuff and with the Cyberman, and I quite like that, because Doctor Who, I think Peter Capaldi said in an interview once that Doctor Who should have this B-movie atmosphere, and that's very true, because you're not going to take it seriously, it's Doctor Who. But still, I mean, yeah, it's definitely not an episode to take too seriously. However, I do think that at times when it tries to take itself more seriously, it's like it doesn't work. Like, the two tones don't mesh together. Like George said, there's half the story is trying to be comedic, and all the stuff with the Cybermen is trying to be really horrific and dark and kind of Age of Steel-esque. But it just ends up feeling a bit clunky. But it's still, I do have an overall positive view on the episode. It's still quite fun. I really enjoy the interactions between Matt Smith and James Corden. I think they have a great dynamic together. James Corden's not the best actor in the world, but you can tell they're having fun, and that's what I quite like. There's one thing that I really want to know, is that it feels like it's the first half of a Cyberman story. It feels like the story should have carried on. They were just being introduced, but the Cybermen, they could have been replaced with literally any other villains, and the story wouldn't have changed at all. And I think that it would have been a really good opportunity to introduce maybe a new villain into Doctor Who. And but still, it's overall quite a fun story. I mean, it's pure switch your brain off entertainment. But yeah, I do think that the Cybermen were underused.
All right, so yeah, I agree with both of you. Definitely, I gotta say, yes, I enjoyed this episode. Watching it, it was fun to watch. I enjoyed watching it. Yes, there are some problems in there, but I'll start off with the good stuff. So, like you two have said, good setup for the Cybermen. I really like the first scene, the cold opening. When you stuff going off in the shopping centre, and the lady gets dragged away by the Cybermen, and it's just that little staggered little zoom into the Cyberman with that music, and you see the crack on its face. It really set it up to be a really good, creepy, tense, eerie atmosphere, which I thought was really good. I thought that there was a good portrayal between the Doctor and Craig, the opposites. The Doctor's feeling down, and he's preparing himself for his death, and he doesn't want Craig to get into danger. But then you've got Craig's light-hearted comedy and trying to stay with the Doctor, and it feels like if he's with him, he's going to be more safe than away from him, which is good. I liked the cliffhanger as well, how it leads into the finale. I like that cliffhanger a lot with River Song in the in Lake Silencio as inside the astronaut suit. That was a really good cliffhanger. But as you used to have said, the Cybermen definitely not used well enough. They kind of feel like a B plot. The plot is mostly around Craig being a dad and doing on his own and not needing any help, and looking at the doctor preparing for his death. He's ready for it. He wants to go. He didn't want to stay around. He noticed things. He wanted to just get off and get it over and done with. But there's a little spark in there with him where he actually thinks, I'll do one more thing before I go. And that was really good to see. Really good to see.
Yeah, he abandoned Exodus.
Yeah, he abandoned it. Yeah, no, he abandoned it. But at least you can see there was a little spark inside of him, a bit more left over before he went to his eventual death. So yeah, basically, as you guys have said, the two halves, the comedy and the horror, don't really mix too well, and it just feels like the Cybermen are just there, and they're not really part of the story that much, apart from what they were trying to do. So what we'll move on to then is the characters then. Just what do we think then?
I'm going to start with the Doctor. As you said, he didn't go to Exodus, and that's really upsetting. But it's the Doctor, obviously his last adventure, go to Exodus or help a friend, the Doctor isn't selfish. Don't be cruel or cowardly. Again, I don't feel like the story was the Doctor. I feel like this was a Craig-focused story, as it's focused on fatherhood and parenting, and everybody can't take him seriously. Like, he's on his own with a child. People think he's going to be a train wreck. He's called it, obviously, before he met the Doctor. He was on the phone with his mum. His mum didn't believe in him. This whole story was him proving, and he did at the end, though it was a bit of a cop-out ending. It's a lot of fun. I love the interactions with Stormageddon and the Doctor. Talk Baby in the comments. It's humour, it's fun. This episode, you can't take it really seriously. It's just fun. If you were drunk or you're upset, just watch this episode. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. If you're drunk, watch this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it could kill you.
Alfie thinks Craig was crying too, not mum. Oh, peasant. Calls him peasant. I just love those little comments, those little digs at Craig, and talk about his intelligence. Oh, it was a lot of fun. Oh yeah, but the Cybermen. Oh, damn. Everything else in this episode without the Cybermen was good. You could just have like another villain or just an original or something that's already existed, but the Cybermen, it's just a bit pointless. It's good for build-up, but as a story, you just can't take it seriously. They said a line saying like, Doctor, you know who we are. We can defeat you. There's 6 of us. Brr, be mad. And I'm like, ugh.
I love that.
Yes,
I'd love to hear the Cybermen. That's like, that reminded me of the 80s Cybermen, because they kind of had emotions. Like, Doctor, we're going to defeat you. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Baron?
Any more to add, Baron? Any more to add to that?
I'd just like to point out that this was Moffat's first Cyberman story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he wrote it, but it was the first Cyberman story in his era. And for the first Cyberman story in somebody's era, it's not like a fantastic way to introduce the Cyberman into your era, is it?
Mm.
But yeah, anyway, characters. The Doctor is like, I love how the Doctor comes across in this episode, because obviously he left Amy and Rory with a house. He was just like, you know what? Stay there. You're gonna die eventually. Here's a house. How did I buy it? Nobody cares. But yeah, and so it's kind of like, I saw the comedy as like, especially the comedy with Matt Smith, as kind of like, it's a coping mechanism, because he knows he's going to die. But he's like, oh no, everything's fine still, everything's still fine. I mean, I'm gonna die, but it's fine. It's just, I'm gonna see Exodus, and then I'm off. See ya. But I do like how towards the end of the episode, he's kind of accepting his fate, because he gets more serious, and like, he's trying to he's like, I'm going to die, Craig. And he's trying to connect with Craig, but and also I love the interaction that he has with Stormageddon in his bedroom when he shows him the stars and everything. It's beautiful. I love it. It's a fantastic scene. And they're just, it's fantastic. And in that scene, he stops calling him Stormageddon and he starts calling him Alfie, which is a really nice touch, actually. And also I love the scene at the end with where he says, hello, I'm the Doctor, I was here to help and you're very, very welcome. I'm like, oh god, it's really sad. Obviously we know he's not gonna die, but you do kind of get this impending sense of like, oh, he's gonna die. Like, he genuinely, he feels like he's gonna die. Yeah. And he's like, there's no way out, I've kind of accepted it. You're welcome. like for everything, and I was like, oh, this is sad. But yeah, it's a nice moment. Craig obviously is a bit like, his arc in this episode is that he's gonna be a dad, which is a very basic arc. Like if you watch The Incredibles 2, you can kind of get the same amount of like
Yeah.
yeah. I love the side characters because I just love the way how everybody likes the Doctor. Like as soon as they meet him, they're all like, "Oh, hi, Doctor! You like you're really nice. Like nice uniform, George. Oh, thanks." And it's quite funny. It's quite fun, and especially that woman who thinks that they're like a couple, that him and Craig are a couple, and she's nice. I like her. She's funny.
Her name's Val.
But
Come
yeah,
outside, lady.
Val, yes, best Doctor Who companion.
Why isn't she not in the top 5 bring back?
Exactly. She should have got her own spin-off. Screw Torchwood. The Val Adventures. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on the characters. Very brief.
Right, yeah, and again, I agree with you too. You know, Doctor sad, isn't it? It's so sad that he's actually given up. You know, of all, you know, he's actually decided, yeah, I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna accept it. I'm not gonna try and fight. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna take it as it comes. And it's just so sad to see how he's given up, and he's prepared for it. He's prepared for it fully. And as you just said at the end, you know, give a little goodbye speech. You know, I was here to help. You know, thank you. And that's me gone. And that's just so sad. But then it's great to see Craig though. You know, his chemistry with the Doctor. You know, the opposite, the comedy, to try and lighten up the mood a little bit, to try to direct us away from the fact that Doctor's going to die now, and it's trying to lighten up the mood a little bit more. And those two are just hilarious. As we've always said, those two are hilarious. Stormageddon, brilliant. And them as a three, just in general, I was really, really funny as a trio.
Yeah, forget Amy and Rory. Craig and Stormageddon.
Exactly.
The companion we should have had in Series 7 Part 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got to say,
screw Clara. No.
Craig trying to be a dad is hilarious. Like, so funny. It's just... It could be us one day. Like, we could be Craig one day, and it's so funny to see it through, you know, in front of us, in visualizing the struggles that could happen in the future, and what someone else failed at them. The big point, what we've said already, is Cybermen. You know, very weak. You know, pretty much destroyed by the Cryber baby. Pretty much, the build was good. The building up towards the end was great, and it just feel like you are right, friend. It just feel like it's like the first part of a two-parter. You know, the ending with them wasn't very dramatic. It was just literally, we'll beat you up, bro.
We're dead now.
We got you. Yeah, hello, Doctor. Yeah, we got you. What are you gonna do about it? And then Craig's like, "Ha, my baby's crying."
Oh, baby.
My baby. And then they were gone.
Child. No.
Yes, and then they were gone. The build-up, they were creepy, the eerie. It was all really good, tense stuff until the end. The Cybermen were just a bit disappointing at the end, how they were just defeated by the Cryber baby. So what we'll do now, we'll move on to some random thoughts. Any more extra things you want to bring up about the episode? George, anything else you want to mention?
Absolutely. I was going to say this for the Craig moment, but I love the Craig becoming like the Doctor when he's investigating the department, and he's becoming a bit of a creep. He's trying to...
that scene was weird. I don't understand it.
And moments later, he's like, "How do you do it? I was almost arrested." The Doctor has his way, and then the Doctor just randomly just peeking through some curtains. Oh, one thing I do want to say, I love the, you know, when they keep cutting. You know, it was the opening scene when the Doctor was about to open Alfie's door, and it just cuts to Shona, I think her name is, opening the curtain. Just love those. You know, there was two scenes going on at once, and they're the scenes really good on that. But hey, Farron, you loved this episode, you know.
I actually disagree with you there, George. I disagree on that front. I think the pre-titles is a bit weirdly edited.
No.
I don't really like it. I think that the opening with the flashing lights and everything sets up the creepy, cheesy B-movie atmosphere. I quite like it. It's nice. However, it really, really contrasts with the light-hearted scenes with Craig and the Doctor and everything. I think that those scenes should have been saved for after the titles, because this is what I'm talking about, like the two tones don't mix. Like, have your scary opening in the shop, and then after the titles, have the scenes with Craig, where he's like, "Oh, I'm phoning the world. Craig Owens can do it on his own, and I'm the Doctor. I'm back. I don't like it. You've redecorated." You know, have that. Save that for after the titles. because it fits the more comedic tone the episode establishes after the episode. Because, like, I view it as, like, creepy setup, titles, and then more of a light-hearted tone for a bit. I think that would have flowed better, you know, with the overall, you know, structure of the episode. So that's what I was talking about to begin with when I said, structurally speaking, it's really weirdly edited and put together, I think. But yeah, I'll get onto all this stuff. Yeah, I loved... okay, I want to talk about Matt's green coat. I don't know what we think of it. Obviously, it first appeared in Let's Kill Hitler and everything. It's alright. Like, I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. I think I like the swishiness of it, but I don't think it goes with this more formal attire. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah...
So we're not getting a cosplay from you then?
We're not getting a cosplay of it, unfortunately. I'll stick to my...
Alright guys, don't follow Farron's Instagram then.
No, follow my Instagram, please.
Alright, go on, carry on.
There are no closing time cosplays. Matt Smith, I love how he can switch from like comedic to serious just like that, you know? It's fantastic. I think people really underestimate how good of an actor he is. He's fantastic, honestly. And also, like I said earlier, this episode is really funny. Like, I feel like, I don't want to bring up Series 11 and 12 all the time. I hate to do it. Because I feel like in Series 11 and Series 12, they try to capture this style of comedy that really worked in the Moffat era with Matt Smith and everything. But it just comes off as a lazy imitation. So I feel like that's the big difference when people are like, oh, there were cringy humor. Matt Smith talked to himself. And I was like, yeah, but it worked. Like, they could pull it off. It comes off as a lazy imitation. Also, the Cybermat. We haven't talked about the Cybermat yet. I love the Cybermats, man. They're fantastic. I wish they would come back. Because I love them, they're great. Obviously in Nightmare in Silver we got the Cybermites.
Yes.
They were a bit weird, they were too tiny for my liking. But you know, I bring back the Cybermats, they're fantastic. Also, I bought the toy of it, do you remember the toy? I've still got it, it's fantastic, I love it. But yeah, there you go, those are my random
Alright,
thoughts.
I've not got many random thoughts, but I've got some pointers on the cinematography, because so great shots of the Cybermen, like I said in that opening scene where it pulls back the curtain and the Cybermen's there, and it sort of like staggers, zooms on in the face, and you really see that crack. It's
very horror movie-esque.
Yeah, and it makes like that sort of sound as it zooms in. I like that. Whatever it was, it's like a weird, you know what I mean? Yeah. Music as well, making it really creepy and eerie and atmospheric until the very end, of course, when we found out they was very easily defeated. But the setup was there with the cinematography and then lurking in the shadows. But yeah, that was basically it. So what we'll do now, we're going to move on to a part of the video that could have been a hit back in the Series 12 days, but we're going to bring it back in a slightly new way. It is now time for the cringe of the episode.
We
Not
did it.
Cringe of the week, cringe of the episode.
Cringe of the episode.
We're not
doing these weekly.
No. So, George, what would you say was your most cringy moment of closing time?
I've got two. It's not like any dialogue. It's more of actions, really. So, number one is when the Cyberman jumps to attack Craig, and then I Am the Doctor plays. I was just laughing because he's like holding like a sandwich. It's just like...
Wait, what scene is that?
So when the Doctor jumps through the window.
Oh yeah.
And it was just funny. It's literally him like holding something like a sandwich, for example. It's just...
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the main thing I found cringy when Craig uses a scanner as a gun. Like
I liked that. I thought that was
what did
funny.
he like? Use your brain. What do you think?
It's like, oh, activate this. I was like, that's fantastic.
I know it should feel human, but like, use your brain, bro. What do you think a scanner that doesn't do anything?
Well, no, it's more of like the threat. I think, like he wanted to intimidate them.
Yeah.
So that kind of worked. It worked for me. I like
to be fair, the Doctor has threatened the Daleks with a Jammy Dodge before.
He did, yeah.
So
in the best Dalek story of the Moffat.
It's not best. I thought you said best in general. I was gonna say,
no.
Series one.
So, Farron, what was your cringe?
I have two as well. I have two. My first one is, you know, when the Doctor goes into the shop and he goes to investigate and he finds the Cybermen's entrance is behind a mirror. You'd think they'd put like a lock or something on the mirror. Because what if somebody accidentally like bumped into the mirror and opened it?
Ah, yeah.
And so that's just kind of stupid. Why not put like at least like a
That's actually a good
padlock
call,
on there?
actually.
He just
Hmm.
opens it. I was like, why didn't they put a lock on that? Also, my main one though is the argument that Craig and the Doctor have
Yeah.
in the shop. They're just like, he's like, oh, they are like an old married couple. I don't blame her for thinking that they were married. But yeah, it's just like James Corden, he can't pull it off. He can't pull off the serious acting. He's like, when like, cool, oh, you bastard. But yeah, no, it's really tacked on, and it has no relevance in the episode, and they literally like make up like 10 minutes later. So you know, it really doesn't matter, and it was really cringy. But yeah,
Mine actually got one written down. Was so when Craig is investigating and he ends up talking to Shona or whatever in the ladies' underwear aisle, and he's trying to be as I don't know. It's just so funny how he's just.
oh yeah, no, it's really
weird.
weird.
She leans right into her face and goes, "Have you seen anything mysterious around lately?"
Like,
at all?"
what are you
Oh
doing?
yeah, that is pretty cringe.
Not me at all. Of anything, yeah. And he's just
Like,
falling
yeah,
into it.
have
And then
you
he's,
seen anything unusual except me?
you
Like,
know, and then he just falls over the rack of underwear, and what is he? His attempt,
It's ridiculous.
At espionage was hilarious. And he just call over George. He's like, "Is an anything all right here? What's going on?" So he's like, "No,
I don't know why he
nothing."
tries like flirting with her almost.
Yeah, he thinks
It's
gonna
weird.
work.
I'm like, dude, you're married. Like,
with a
what are you
baby,
doing?
with a baby as well.
Yeah, what are you doing? You crazy.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, that was mine. So we've all got something different. So yeah, I think to be fair, this is quite.
Can we all pick that one as the cringe of the
You want
episode?
to?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
fair
yeah.
enough. So Craig trying to chat up a assistant in the underwear aisle whilst trying to get information about unusual things.
Cybermen.
Yeah. Okay. So it's now time for the most important part of the video, and that's to decide whether or not this episode failed or not. So George, fail or no fail? That is the question.
For a Cyberman story, it definitely failed. As I already stated, it's not really a Cyberman story. Yes, the Cybermen are in it, but I feel like it's more of a Craig and becoming a parent, and I think they handled it really well. Of jealousy, like, oh, I wish I was like you, Doctor, but now he's becoming his own person. He has that confidence, and it was a really fun episode. Again, I said, it's a bit of filler, it's a bit of fluff, you know, it's all right, you know, it's a bit of fun. It didn't fail. On to you, Farron.
Okay, no fail. Solid no fail. I really enjoyed it, but obviously I enjoyed it. It's a Matt Smith story, and it's a story from the Moffat era, so of course I'm going to enjoy it because I'm Matt Smith shill. But whatever. No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit of fun. You know, it's like George said, it's a Cyberman story. Yeah, it was a bit like the Cybermen were really underused, but like I just kind of ignore all that, and it's fun. Like, it's not really anything to be taken too seriously, and I think it is better than everything in Series 11 and Series 12, so you can quote me on that. There you go.
So, as we said already, you got two things to this. It's the Cybermen story, and then you've got the other half of Craig. So, as I said before, as an episode, I enjoyed watching it. It was fun, but it wasn't meant to be a Cyberman story. Well, I don't know if it was meant to be solely a Cyberman story, but with the Cyberman element not being the biggest part of it, even though it should have been. I rated it about a 5 out of 10. It was bang in the middle. It's okay. So I'm going to be controversial and say, because this is very not like me apparently, but because it was meant to be a Cyberman story, and the Cyberman element didn't do too well, I'm going to say it's a fail. Even though I did enjoy, even though I think I enjoyed it, even though I enjoyed it as a story, the Cyberman element sort of failed. So therefore, as a story, it failed. But overall, because 2 out of 3, this episode has failed because 2 of you have said it did not fail. So there you go. Closing time.
Closing time.
Didn't fail.
Time for you
Give
to
give the episode another rewatch, guys.
Yeah,
So,
it's great. No, yeah, watch it.
Today, watch Closing Time and post your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think it failed? Did it not fail? It's up to you. Tell us, what do you think? Is it a good episode, a bad episode? What's your thoughts? Post them all down in the comments below and have a friendly discussion about all of that. If you like the video, give it a nice big like. And also, if you want to see some nice cosplaying stuff, you might as well follow Farron on Instagram for some nice cosplaying things, because why not whilst we're here?
And go watch my video essays and videos.
Oh,
just subscribe. Everything.
Actually, as well, put down as well below what you think we should do next. We've had a few chats about what the next episode will be, but if there's any ones you really want, just put them down and we'll see what we can do. Well, there you go. That was our closing time review. It didn't fail. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. See ya.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.